This is new headlights from Spyder Auto. As you can see, they got the wires for the angel eyes and the LEDs, and there's halogen lights. They are projector style lights. See the projectors here. I'm probably not going to put any HID kits or anything in there. I'm just going to leave it straight halogen. I think they'll look okay. I read some reviews. Some guys said they couldn't see as good, you know, as the factory lights. I don't know about that, but my 18-wheeler has projectors that come in them factory with halogen lights, and I can see okay with them, so I figure these should be fine. I'll show you the reason that I'm replacing these. So this is the reason I'm replacing these. As you can see, this one's broken. I got in a little fender bender the other day. I had a guy pull out in front of me out of a private drive, and I couldn't get stopped because the guy pulled out in front of me, and then he stopped in the middle of the road basically to make a left turn. And what had happened, he had passed the driveway up that he was gonna turn into, and he turned around and then pulled out of a private drive in front of me, and then stopped in the middle of the road to make his turn. So I hit him in his driver's door, and his mirror went across the hood here. It pushed this back in and scraped my bumper up there. I also closed the door gap up there, but so that's the reason I'm replacing them. And these headlights are kind of hazy anyway, so I was actually thinking about replacing them anyhow, but I got like $1,000 deductible on my insurance. The insurance companies are still trying to figure out, you know, all the who's at fault kind of deal. This happened about 2 weeks ago. They're still trying to sort out all the deals because he pulled out of a private drive in front of me and stopped in the road, but yet I hit him. So, you know, when you hit somebody else, they're gonna say it's your fault because you hit them. But when the guy pulls out in front of you, it's not a whole lot you can do, you know. Alright, so I buffed on it for probably 30 45 minutes. Got all of this here off the hood. All you can see, I don't know how well the camera's picking up, it's just a very, very slight indentation there. You got all that plastic buffed off. Right here, you can see just a little crease right here and a little chipping of the paint. But I mean, that's not horrible. You can see right here the fender buckled out just a little bit, and where some of the door gap closed up right here, it pushed that back just a hair, as well as the bumper. So what I'm going to try to do is, I'm going to try to tie onto this here. I got the headlight out. I try to pull this back forward, and along with the bumper down in there, you try to tie onto that, pull it back forward. And the only way I've can come up with to try to pull on this any at all is use my winch here. I'm going to put a snatch block over there on that tree with them chains, and then come back, tie back onto the truck here, and see what that does. So let me get that rigged up, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, I tied right here, just hooked the chain right here just a little bit, just to pull just a touch, and that helped it out. It's not perfect, but it's a little better than it was. The rest of it can be adjusted out. There's a bolt right here on your fender for your door gap adjustment, and if you look right there, you can see where that has been moved. So I'll loosen that bolt up and be able to adjust my door gap back right there, and everything else should work. Stick the new headlights in it and call it good. May take the buffer and hit them scratches right there where I just drug the chain over and scratched it a little bit, but that's minor. This whole thing here is messed up. That's why I wasn't real worried about it. If you'll look over here behind this winch, whoever had this truck before me, when they put the winch on it, they took a sawzall and sawed the whole front bumper right there out. I have no idea why they done that. You can't see it with a winch on there, but it looks really crappy when you take the winch off. So that's why I'm not a whole lot worried about, you know, scratching this or whatnot. So anyway, I will buff that just a hair, make it look a little better, and I'm gonna go ahead and start getting the new headlight stuck in there. Okay, this is a new headlight. It has 2 bulbs in it, one for the low beam over here in the projector side, and one for the high beam right here. They're H1 bulbs. The factory Dodge turn signal will go right here. Then it has these LEDs, and then these rings here, call them angel eyes, they will light up. So what I got to do to wire this up, the headlight part will just plug right in right here, but the other part has to be wired into the parking lamp circuit and the ground. So all the black wires are ground. This white wire here is a hot. These 2 red wires here has to be wired to the hot on the parking light side. So what I'm going to do is, I got a meter here. I'm going to find out which one of these wires here, this is a turn signal and parking light. Find out which one of these wires here is the parking light. I'm going to splice into it, and with that yellow wire there, and solder and heat shrink it, and then I will tie into the headlight over there and hook it all up. Okay, so this is a fail on Spyder's part. I don't know what the deal is here. I've got everything hooked up. My wires all soldered off of my marker light there. It goes to the little angel eye rings and the LEDs on the bottom. But this here bulb goes right here, has a plug-in on it. It's an orange bulb, so I'm assuming it's just a marker light. But there's not a plug-in on this truck anywhere to hook up to that. And if they would have sent, you know, just a plug-in for it, I could have wired it in over here and made it work. But since they did not, and this truck doesn't have a plug-in for that, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. See, it comes out right here. See where the hole is right there. That's where that bulb sticks out across the bottom with the LEDs there. So I got to figure out what to do with that there, and I don't know whether I can just trim this plastic out from around it and then solder a wire onto it and hook it up that way. Because I mean, what's the point of the bulb being stuck in there like that if it's not going to work? So I may just trim the plastic off of this right here with some cutters and solder me some wires on there and heat shrink it, because I don't have a plug like that, and I don't have any idea where you could get a plug like that. But that may be what I do here. Okay, what I did was I took and cut that plastic off right there where the plug was with a pair of cutters, and it looks all jaggedy and stuff. And I soldered the wires directly on the pins that were sticking out there. Put heat shrink over them. Have no idea why I'm having to do this. I think that's rather silly that I had to do things like that. They didn't include a plug to plug that in, and my truck doesn't have a plug to plug that in. So I don't know if some trucks did have a separate plug that would plug in there or what the deal was. But anyway, I'm going to wire that into my parking light circuit just like I did the others, and it should work just fine. But a little aggravating having to do this way. Alright YouTube, I got them stuck in there. You can still see a little crease right here. But other than that, you still see the little crease right here across the hood if you look at just the right angle. I don't know if you can see right there. But other than that, it looks pretty good to me. Got all the lights working. I got to get a bulb for this one here. This bulb's bad. It was bad in my other light. I got to pull these back out in order to adjust them because the adjustment's on the back. And so I left the little bolt that's in behind here. You got to go in behind here through that hole there and get to. I left it off for right now because I got to pull them back out and adjust them, as I said. They look okay. This side here fit up a little better, you know, as far as the gap goes. Obviously because it hadn't been hit. But this one here doesn't look horrible. I mean, I paid $200 something for the headlights and did a little buffing work. I mean, this looks good enough to me. So anyway, I'll wait till dark and I'll get them adjusted. Alright YouTube, evidently I screwed up, and whenever I tested that bulb with the meter on my parking light here, on that circuit, I left the bulb in the circuit, and it was back feeding back through the wire, and evidently I got on the wrong wire, and as you can tell, my parking lights and everything is blinking out of sequence, alternating back and forth, and they shouldn't be doing that. So evidently I screwed up there. I forgot to pull the bulb out whenever I was testing for power. So I'm going to have to pull that back out and pull the bulb out and figure out which wire is the correct wire to hook to and fix it so that that don't do that. Alright, I swapped the wire on that park lamp, and you can see it's working like it's supposed to. You got the one turn signal and the rest of them are staying on. That was a simple screw up of mine. You can see I originally had the ground hooked right here. You can see where I clipped it off. And I just spliced it right there. For the moment, I got to cut that wire, and I'm going to solder it and heat shrink it into there. That's what I should have did to start with. But yeah, I left the light bulb in there whenever I was checking for voltage. And as you know, a light bulb will complete the circuit and will fool you, and that's exactly what happened. So if you're gonna wire up something, take the light bulb out. But anyway, I'll get that soldered up and get it installed. Alright YouTube, I got the headlights in there. That's my low beams. That's with the fog lights on. Headlights off, fog lights only. Headlights, low beams, fog lights off. As you can tell, I can just about see as well with the fog lights as I can the headlights on low beams. These are some poor quality projectors in my opinion, because I can't see as well with them as I can with the stock headlights. But I'd read some reviews that said that, so I may eventually put some HIDs in there. I got them adjusted best I can on the side of my house, and I've made a few trips up and down the road, and you can kind of tell what they look like. Not the best in the world. If I turn my fog lights on, you know, that helps out. But 9 times out of 10 with the old headlights, before they got hazed up and everything, I never ran my fog lights. I only ran just my low beam lights, and I could see, you know, as well as I can with these with the fog lights on. They had a lot more light up close, like running with the fog lights on. But I really like the way these look, as opposed to the factory lights. These look a lot better, and the high beams may be actually a little better than the stock lights were. I'll show you the high beams here. Yeah, that's the high beams. I may need to adjust them just a little bit, but I've adjusted them some, and I can see pretty good with them on high. I mean, they shine a pretty good distance there. One thing I don't like about the high beams, I've got a lot of light spillage over here to the right, or to the left. That is the side, out my side window there. I don't know if you can see. That's out the passenger side window over there. Now the camera doesn't pick it up real well. But anyway, I'll pull in right down here and turn around. Alright you guys, after much frustration and many hours, I'm kind of ashamed to admit how long this actually took me. I've probably got 4 or 5 hours in trying to aim these headlights. I finally got them lined up to an acceptable level. You see this little dip mark here these projectors have? This is a cutoff line, and you have to be 25 foot from the wall, and you have to aim them up. You want those two lines right there about the same distance apart as the headlights are on the front of the truck. Now, I don't have a flat surface here. You see how it looks angled? I don't have a level spot in my whole yard. I went to my dad's house, and actually used, he's got a shop behind his house, and I used his shop wall in his driveway. It's actually level, or left to right. It's not as on an incline, so I couldn't get my height right. I actually used my mom's car to set the height. I parked it out there like if I was meeting it head on, and adjusted my height down to the bottom of the windshield. That way it wasn't blinding. And it's difficult to adjust these because the adjusters is on the back side, as I showed, and you have to take the headlight out every time to make an adjustment. Now I just got them stuck in there with one bolt, and you just take it out and you adjust it a little bit and you put it back in. You take it out, you adjust it a little bit and you put it back in, and it's just a little aggravating. But I did get them. The low beams are decent. They're not great. They're not as good as the factory ones. You can see the odd pattern there on the wall. It's not quite as visible on a good road right there, but you see the odd pattern. It's just kind of a poor quality projector, in my opinion. But if I turn my fog lights on, I can see about as good as I could with my low beams on my old headlights. But with that being said, the high beams, let me turn them on. They are way better than my old headlights. And I know the right one looks higher, but it's actually not. It's just my truck's crooked. But that is way better than the old ones, because the old ones, only uses one bulb and the same reflector. So this has a separate bulb and a different reflector. Now the complaint I have on the high beam is, well, you can't see it, but the light spillage off to the side. I'm to the side of the truck here. I get right. See how that's blinding right there off to the side of it? That's reflecting off of this chrome housing in here. Now I adjusted the adjustment screws, pulling this reflector, pushing it forward as far as I could, and I've got the light adjusted, tilted this away as much as I could to try to keep that reflection down minimally, and that's the best I could get. Before that, when the light was angled inward slightly, I mean, it was horrible. It looked like a spotlight shining out the window going down the road. But I don't know why they couldn't have, painted that flat black or something right there on that spot that would help that out. But other than that, I really like the looks of the lights. And like I say, the high beam is better than the factory lights, but the low beams are just a poor quality projector in comparison to what some of the projectors that I've seen, and they're a pain to adjust. But I did get them, where I can make do with them. Now, if these were the smoked headlights, I believe it would be really hard to see, probably, if they were the smoked headlights. But let's see here. Hazards on.